Hello guys, welcome to this video. And in today's video, we are going to be looking at the pen tool. Alright, so there are two things we are going to be looking at here with the pen tool. We are going to see how to draw shapes with the pen tool, and we'll see how to draw curves as well. Then we'll look at how to do selections with the pen tool. So I'll get started by creating a new document. I'll just take A4 and I would have landscape like that. So I have something like this, right? Now I've shown you guys how to draw shapes, right? You select your shape tool here and draw whatever shape you want to draw, okay? Like this, and you have that there. Now, what if you want to draw a shape like this? Let me quickly show you guys. But if you want a shape like this, okay, so we need the pen tool to get something like this done. All right, then you can change the color to whatever color you want, like so. Shapes that have curves like this. Okay, so how do we get this done? So let's get the pen tool. Where's the pen tool found? You can press letter P on your keyboard, P, or you can come down here and this is the pen tool here. Okay, so the shortcut is P. So if you right click on the pen tool, you have other tools there. Right, so we are just going to focus on this first one. We'll select this first one. Okay, so let's get the pen tool. And when you get the pen tool, you now have the pen tools options up here. And I want you to click on this drop down here and make sure you have path selected. I'm sure you guys see three options: shape, path, then pixels. And pixels is grayed out. Okay, so let's have path selected like that. Now we have our pen tool active. So this is our pen tool, right? And how do you draw a shape with the pen tool? Simple. You click on a point and allow, click on the next point, allow, click on the next point, allow, click, and when you're satisfied, you point at the point you started from, and you see that little circle, okay? And when you click there, you have completed the path. So what we are doing, we are drawing a path, okay? We started from here, went here, 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 and we have closed that path. And when you have that done, you can come back up here to your options and you can decide what you want to do with this part, okay? So for me, I want to create a shape from this part. So I'm going to click on shape, and a shape is going to be created for me from this part. And I can now come here, double click on this and change the color, okay? Like this. And if I want to give it a stroke, I can go to the blending options of the layer, right click on the layer, go to the blending options like this, and I can give it a stroke like that, right? If I want to give it a gradient in here, I can just pick gradient overlay like such, right? And I can modify it to whatever value I want. Those are things I've shown you guys already. Okay, so I'll just take okay, and we have this. All right, so how do you draw a shape again? You can click, and you can close like that. Then you select shape from up here. We have that. So let's see how we can draw shapes that have curves. So for now, we are drawing shapes that basically have straight lines. Okay, so let's draw a shape that has curves. Now you click on a certain point and you allow like that. So the next thing you need to do is you keep on holding down your left click, then you now drag like this. Okay, so you click and drag. I'll just go back, Ctrl Z. I've clicked on this point, right? To create the next point, I'm going to click and drag like that. Do you see? Right, to create the next one, I can click and drag like this. Then I'll come and close it here like that. So notice that we have now created something like an oblong shape, and we basically have curves. Do you see this rounded nature of the stuff like that? And I can create a shape out of this. I can change the color to whatever color I want. And just delete this, and let's get back to the pen tool. So now I'll click here. And when I click and drag, notice what happens. I have these handles that have been created. You see, I have these two handles here, and these handles are what are responsible for this curved nature here, like this. Okay, so I can come and click here again, drag like this, click here, then click here. All right, I can further play around or manipulate how curved this path is. Okay, we have a path here that goes like this. And how can I get this done? Now, this is a path, this is a path. Okay, so let me introduce another tool. So let's go down here and we'll see this tool here, the direct selection tool, or you see the path selection tool. They're in a group like this. So just press A on your keyboard to have it selected. Okay, so we have path selection tool. So remember, the pen tool, we are working with paths. Okay, so we have drawn this path here and want to modify this path. So we come and select our path selection tool like that. So when you have that selected, you can come now and click on the path like that. So this path now is highlighted. Okay, so this path selection tool is different from our move tool up here. Okay, when I get the move tool, it's different. Okay, let me just get back my path selection to A on the keyboard. Now when I come here and I have this path like this, okay, so this tool helps me select my paths like that. All right, and I can move this path around with this path selection tool. That's all it does. Okay, I can move it around like that. Now I want to modify this point here. So these are points, point 1, point 2, point 3, and point 4. So to modify these parts, go back to your path selection tool group and select your direct selection tool, this one, like this. So I'll select the direct selection tool, which is white. Then I'll click on a particular point and you'll see it's now blue. Then the other points are white. Okay, so this particular point here has no curve. If I click on this one here, notice the handles come up. Do you see? Let me click outside. When I've clicked outside and we have nothing, right? If I click on the path, you now see we have this handle coming up. If I click on this point here, we now see the two handles of that point. Okay, I'm sure this makes sense. So you can manipulate the curved nature of this particular path. So as I said, this handle here, this first one here affects how curved this section is going to be like, and this other one here affects how curved this section is going to be like. So let me illustrate. So for now, these two handles here are linked to each other. So when I shift one, the other one shifts as well. Do you see? I'm moving this one around and this other one here is moving around as well. So I can click on this point here and move around like this. Okay. And I can come to the middle here. I can move the point as well like this. Do you see? I can move this point as well to whatever location I want. So I can do the same thing here. I can move this point like that. Can decide I want something like this. Okay. So move like that, and if I like this, if I want to affect how much this place should be curved, I'll just click here and drag like that. Right, come here, click here and drag as well. So you notice that these two handles here, this one and this one here, are linked together. So when I'm affecting this one, or when I'm moving this one around, the curve of this one is also affected like that. And if you are satisfied, you can create your shape from that. So a quick question might be, okay, now this part here is does not have a curve. How do I make this a curve? Okay, very simple. So here we have this, right? So we can move this around like this. So the question is, how do you make this a curve? Okay, so one of the ways you can make this a curve is by get back your pen tool, right? And let's go back. Get your pencil. So I've gotten my pencil back P on the keyboard, right? Then you come and point here. Okay, if you point here, you see a negative sign, which means if you click on this point, it's going to delete the point. If I click there, you see Photoshop has deleted that point, but that's not what I want. So I'll go back, Ctrl Z, and if I want this particular anchor point here, which does not have these handles, to have a handle, what I'll do is I'll hold Alt on my keyboard, Alt, point back on it, and you now see that the arrow changes to this one. Okay, and I can click and drag like that. So I've dragged and it's in the opposite direction. So I'll just move it like this, and that's okay now. Try this makes sense to everybody. So I can do the same thing here. I'll hold Alt on the keyboard, I'll click and drag. That's going in the opposite direction. So I'll take it back the other way like that. So you now see we have handles. So again, these are points here, an anchor point, an anchor point, an anchor point. And these points are used to create a path like this, right? Then we have handles. These are handles here. Okay, so I can get back my quick selection tool, my direct selection tool, this one here. And the purpose of the direct selection tool, as I said, is meant to manipulate anchor points and their handles. Okay, like now I can move this point here and I can also play around with these handles here like this to get whatsoever shape I want, like this, and have something like this. Can select this back, and if I'm satisfied and accept that, okay, can do something like this, right? So let's say I'm okay with this particular shape here. I'm just going to click on, sorry. So let's say I'm okay with this particular path here, and I want to create a shape from this. So I'll get my pen tool back, P on the keyboard, and I click here on this shape thing. And we now have this shape like this. Okay. So with this, you can create a lot of custom shapes. I can take okay. And I have this shape like that. All right. I'm sure this makes sense to everybody. Now, we can also use this to trace. Let me just quickly download an icon here. So I'll download this particular icon here and quickly show you guys something. So let me bring this into Photoshop. So let's say we have this particular image brought in here, right? We can trace this with the pen tool. So let's have this placed here. And let me lock this layer so that I'm not going to move it around like this. Lock like this, then get the pen tool, and let's trace around this. So what we'll do is this. We'll click on this point here, like that, right? Then the next place we're going to click on somewhere here, because we notice we have a curve here like this. So I want us to trace this particular heart here. So I'll click here. What do I do when I click? I click and drag like this. Sure this makes sense to everybody now. Click and drag like that. Okay. So I've seen that what I did was too much. So I'll just do Ctrl Z, and I think I should instead click somewhere around here. Yeah, somewhere around there. And so when I move this way, notice how my curve moves. So I'm just moving in directions that will help me to appropriately match what I have there. Okay. So if I move this way, see how the curve goes. If I move this way, see how it goes. If I move up, it goes down. If I move down, it goes up. So you just move till you get something like, let's say something like this. Okay. Then you now allow, right? Then I'll click here and try to complete this. Now notice that it's going to be kind of tricky to get this perfect. Okay. So let's try and see. I'm just moving around till I find the perfect spot. So now one thing you can do here is this. So let me just go back, Ctrl Z. So we have drawn this particular, started from here, right? We clicked here and we have this point here. The reason why we cannot get this part perfectly is because this handle here is affecting how the curve happens here. So what you can do is we can break this handle. Remember, this handle here and this handle, they operate together, right? So what I want to do is I want to take away this handle here. I don't need it. I want to just keep this one. So what do? I just hold Alt on my keyboard. And when I Alt the keyboard, I have this particular icon here, right? Then I click on that anchor point and this handle here disappears. So let me do it again. I'll go Ctrl Z and go back. I'll hold Alt to my keyboard and click it because I want to delete this handle here. I don't need it. I need just this handle here. So I'll hold Alt and click. And the reason why Photoshop is going to delete just this one is because we are drawing in this direction. You see, we are tracing this in this direction. So we started from here. We have gone here. I want to continue and come down here. But now we don't need this handle here. So I'll hold Alt in the keyboard and click, and Photoshop deletes that handle for me. So I can now come down here, click like this, and I can do something like this. Okay, something like this. You now see this, it is way better. You now see we have a match now. Okay, I can allow that. And what do we do again here? It's very simple. We just break this handle again because we don't need this one here, so that we can have a perfect something here, right? So this one here, I want to break away this handle. I don't need it, so I'll hold Alt in the keyboard, click here, and that particular handle is deleted. So I'll come somewhere up here and I'll click and I'll drag somewhere up, then I'll drag to the left, drag up, then I'll take it down. And I think I like what I have, like, let's say something like this. Yeah, this looks okay. Then what do I do again? Exactly, I break this and I'll come here. Now where I started from, I'll click there and I'll complete my heart sign. So you see, I'm just basically tracing, right? And I have something like this. Okay, then I can turn off the layer of this my picture here. So what we are doing is we're just tracing this. So this is the part we have traced by following a shape. Okay, so you can do this to any other image. So that's how we're going to use this when we start looking at selections using the pen tool. So you're just basically tracing around the image. So I've just traced around that and I've hidden the image. Now this is original here and I've just hidden this. And I'm sure most of you have noticed that parts are not created on layers here. Do you see? Parts are not, they're not created on layers here. So parts are created on the part panel here. So if I click on path, you now see the path is here. So paths are always on this path panel here. In case you don't see path, just go to Windows and look for path. Right, when you click on that, it's going to open up here like that. Okay. So in case you don't have your path selected, let's say you click somewhere outside, and you can just come to paths here and select your path like that. Okay. Now we have this path here. Now I've clicked away. How do I select this path back? You cannot use your move tool to select it because it does not belong to the layers panel here. Okay. So what you need to do is go to your direct selection tool here. Okay. So I showed you guys here on the keyboard, and you can just click on it on the path, and you now have your path active like this. All right. Then to move this path around, you get your path selection tool, and you can use the path selection tool to move the path around. Okay. So the purpose of the path selection tool is to move paths around. The move tool is not going to move your path around. So the path selection tool is going to move the tool around. Then the direct selection tool is going to help you move the anchor points around. Okay. So like now I've got to my direct selection tool. If I click on this anchor point here, it's now selected because it's the only one in blue, the other ones are in white. I can decide to move this inside if I want that, or I can decide to move this a little bit outward like that. Okay. Same thing down, or this one here, I can move this a little bit upward or something like this, right? Something like that. So if I'm satisfied with this, I can now create a shape from this by going back to my pen tool, P on the keyboard, and I click on create shape like that. So I have a shape now, and I can change the color to whatever color I want. Okay. Something like this. Right. I'm sure this makes sense to everybody. All right. So let me just delete all of these things I've written here. Like that. So that's how you create custom shapes using the path or using the pen tool. So let me just do that one more time. So how do you create these custom shapes using the pen tool? The first thing you do is to get your pen tool, P on the keyboard, right? And make sure it's the first one selected here, this one. And let's say you want to draw a custom shape. So now I already have an idea of what I want to draw. So I'll start by clicking out of the canvas. I'll click here, then I'll click here and drag like that. Okay. Then I'll click out of the canvas again and drag like this, so that I have a custom shape like this. Then I'll just close up my shape by clicking down here, and click here. So I have this part like this, and I want to fill up this portion here with the color. And we all know that any portion of our design elements are not in the canvas will not show in the design, right? So that's why I've extended outward like that, so that I can just click on create shape. Then I can modify the color to whatever color I want like this. Okay, sure this makes sense to everybody now. I can get my move tool. Since I've created a shape out of this, it's no longer a path. This is now a shape, so I can get my move tool, and I can now move the shape around. So we first created a path, then we now converted that path to a shape, and we have something like this. Okay, and we can give this a stroke, a solid color, a gradient, depends on you. All right. So I'm sure this makes sense to everybody, right? Okay. So far so good. So the next thing I want us to do now is how to use the pen tool to come up with selections. So we have look at the various selection tools you have in Photoshop, and the pen tool is one of them, which is very powerful, and professionals use this a lot because it's very accurate. Okay, so let's bring in one of the images we have been using throughout these sessions. So I'll just make it a little bit bigger like this. So let's say we have something like this. Then now we want to select this guy using the pen tool. So by default, what you do is you just get your quick selection tool and you select the layer, then you go to select subject like that. That's what we have been doing so far. But what I want us to do is we want to do the selection ourselves. Okay, so you see the selection over here. We want to do the selection ourselves using the pen tool so that we can be very accurate with it and control every part of it. Like now, this one here, Photoshop, we have left this Photoshop to decide on how things are done. We can use maybe the quick selection tool and refine it again, or we can go to the select and mask as we saw on it in yesterday's video to refine. So you come to this workspace here, okay, and you can refine it to whatever value you want. So let me just deselect this by pressing Ctrl Z on the keyboard so that I have this matching hands appear, or I can go to select and go to deselect like that. So how do we select this guy with the pen tool? So get the pen tool, P on your keyboard, okay, P, and always make sure that you have path selected here. So I'll zoom in. So we need to start from somewhere. Okay, so where should we start from? So I want us to start from, let's start from his hands here. Okay, so I'll zoom in here. So the point is we want to trace around his body the same way we trace over that heart symbol. We want to trace around his body like this with the pen tool. Okay, like that, and come back at anywhere we started from. Now some points of the body will be straight lines and some points will be curves. I'm sure that makes sense to you guys. So I'll just zoom in a little bit like that. Then I'll come here. So I'll start from here, okay? And it's a good idea to really zoom in. So I'll click on this point here. I want to start from here. Click on this point, and I want this to be a straight line from here to, let's say, here, right? And I'll come here. It's another straight line here. Another straight line like this. Straight line here. Straight line here. Then this looks like a curve. So I'll click and I'll drag slightly like that. But I could still even make this a straight line. But let's use a slight curve like this. Then I'll hold Alt on the keyboard and click back on that point. So then this anchor point here is going to be deleted. So I'll hold here. Sorry, so that this handle here, this is an anchor point, then this is a handle. So that this handle here will be deleted. So I'll click here like that. Then inside here, this a curve. So I'll click here and I'll drag slightly like this. Okay. And I'll delete this point here again. Okay, now this is a beautiful curve here. So we can come point here, click, then drag till you feel that curve like that. Okay. And I'll click there. It's a straight line, another straight line. Then we now see another curve like that. Okay. So I'll click like this. We have something like that. I'll bring this away by holding Alt on the keyboard, and I'll click on the points deleted. You see another curve here, right? Click and I have something like it. Delete the anchor point. Sorry, delete the handle from the anchor point. Then now this is a curve, but I'll just interpret it as a straight line. So I'll just click here like that. Okay. Then now I have another curve here. So I'll click here. Do something like this. I'll break this away. Then I can interpret this as a straight line. Yeah. Control Z. You can do Control Z to go back. So I don't like what happened there. So I just use Control Z on my keyboard to go back. Now I'll click here and just do a slight curve like that. Okay. So we have something like that. And I can come here. This should be a straight line. Another straight line like that. Okay. Then we can do the same thing for this portion. So I can come here and let's see. Okay, this is not going to work. So I'll do Control Z and I'll click here. Not going to work. I'll click here and drag sliding like this. It's not going to work. So let me just take this first part here, this little part here. Okay, then I'll break it up, hold Alt and click there. Then I see a curve like this. So I'll click and create this curve like that. Yes, then I'll break it up like this. And I see a straight line. And it's under a shape. This is kind of like a curve. Okay. Then I'll break it up again by holding Alt and clicking on the anchor point. So I break with the handle. Break up again. This straight line. Then it curves. Like that. So guys, it's a good idea to always zoom in and see what you're doing. Break it up. I see a straight line here. And I kind of see a curve here. This should be a curve. Let's see. Yeah, this is a curve, right? So I'll just do something like this. Break it up. Let's see if this is going to work. If I come right here, will this work? Let's see. Okay, yes, I'm going to do this, and though I'm going to cut away some of the head, it's okay, no problem. Like, you notice this portion is not going to be inside. That's okay. I'll break this up. And so it's your decision to make as the person working in the selection. You might want to do that particular, you might want to follow that particular part. Okay, so I'll do this, and so I'm just going to quickly hurry, and I might fast forward this, or let me just do it together so you guys see. And yeah, so I'm going to be a little bit fast now just so that we get through this particular one really quick. So I'm just going to use straight lines here now instead. Okay, and my selection might not be perfect, that's okay. So here I'll just use a curve like this. But when you're doing your own, always try to make sure that you have a perfect job done, and take your time. This is going to take some time. And I'll get stuff like this done, or this is a curve, right? So I'll come back here, start from here instead. Slight curve like this. Then I'll come here right down. Okay, I'll just take all of this to meet one curve like this. Though that's not true, but just for time's sake, okay. Like that. Since I don't want this video to be very long, like this, I'll bring the points, hold Alt and click there. Straight line, curve, break it up, little curve, break it up, slight curve on the other angle, let's see, break it up. Okay, then it should be a straight line. A slight curve like so. Yeah. Then slide curve like so. This. Okay, so let me just hurry up with this one now. Okay, let's assume that I'll just cut up from here like this. Cut up these portions here. I'll come here, straight line. So I'll just use couple straight lines here. Straight line. Then this hand can be a little bit tricky, but it's the same idea, okay? You can use a straight line here, or let's say a little curve like that. So for me, I'll just use straight lines here just to get down this thing really quick, so that we don't spend too much time here. Curve, break this up, curve, break this up, straight line. It's a curve. Yeah, curve like that, break this up, curve, break this up. And this was started from, this is a point started from. So when you point on it, you now see our circle again. When you click on it, we now have our path. So I'll zoom on now, we have this path around it, right? We have this path. So initially what we were doing was, we have the path around it like that. So if I turn this off, if I turn the guy off, the layer of the guy off here, you see we have this path here, like this, okay? So let's turn the layer back on. So what we're doing was, if you want to create a shape out of this guy, you can click on this shape icon here, and you have a shape created, right? But that's not what we want to do. We want to create a selection. So let's go back, Ctrl Z. Instead, we should take what? Selection here, okay? So I can click on selection. And you might want to add a feather to the selection. Like how much should it extend outside of the selection? So I want 0 pixels, so I'll take okay. And I have this new selection thing active here, I'll take okay. And you now see we have a selection like this on the guy here, okay? And we can decide to refine the selection, or we can decide to create a mask from the selection like that. And you see we have a very clean selection here. Very accurate, right? Because we took our time and got the job done, okay? We have no problem with the edges being rough, as we saw on other videos, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this as well. We have rough edges when Photoshop is getting. Yeah, so you can always use your pencil to avoid those things. Avoid going to your refine, your select and mask workspace just to refine corners. Okay, you can quickly avoid that by using the pencil to do your selections. Okay, so let's just go back again. So we had our path like this. So when we have our path with the pencil, you right click on it, and sorry, not right click. You just go to select here. Click on selection here, and it creates a selection for you like this. Take okay. Or let me just go back, Ctrl Z. Or when you have your path like this, you can right click on the path and make selection like this. So it's the same thing. I take okay, it makes a selection. Or when you have a path, you can decide to create a mask directly from that path, from the path, right? Instead of making a selection like this, then creating a mask from down here. So just go back. So when you have your path, you can decide to take this one in mask and just make a mask out of it, so you see we have masked out that. But it's a good idea to have a selection first. So when you have your path here, just create the selection first. Then when the selection is active, create your mask it now like that. Okay, and you can now bring in its frame background if you want to. So let's see, you can drag and drop something else like that. Zoom out like that, then you can do something like this. Okay, I'm just getting my move tool. Can do something like this. Stuff like that. So you see how perfect this selection is, right? Very clean selection. Okay, no rough edges at all, right? So that's a pencil for you. Okay, so let's just recap on what we have done so far. That's all about the pencil, but you would need to spend some time practicing. And how do you practice? By bringing in images and try to trace around the subject. Or okay, let me just show what I've done again. So let me bring in another image to practice with that. Let's bring in this banana here. So I want to select just one banana. Okay, I want to select this one. I want to use this banana in my design or something like that. So you've downloaded bananas and you want to use just one banana in your design. Very simple. Then just come here. Pencil, want to trace around this banana. Okay, get your pencil, key on the keyboard, and choose where you want to start from. So which angle do you want to start from? I would say I want to start from here. So I'll zoom in. It's a good idea to always zoom in really well, pretty much. So I'll start from, let's say, here, and I'll click here like this and click and drag like that. And I'll break it up, click and break. So I held Alt on the keyboard to break that up. So I'll come back here. Let's see, click and drag, hold Alt, break like that. I'll come here. Let's see. And that, then I'll allow hold Alt, click and break. And I'll come up here like this, and I can Ctrl Z. I want to bring the angle points here. Do that, hold Alt, and click, and come here. Sometimes it was not follow the shape as it is. Like now, I'm not really following. I just want this, like this whole alt click and drag. Sorry, not hold alt click and drag. So we'll have this handle here, hold alt and just click on it here and click and drag. Sorry about it. Then okay, let me just come back down here, click and drag to form a curve like that. Now come a straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line, another straight line, straight lines, another straight line here. Then here I'll click and drag. Hold alt, click on the anchor point to delete that handle. Then I'll come and click somewhere here and drag. Let's see. $12 some. Something like this. Yeah. Hold alt, click and then I'll come down here, click and drag like this. Since it should be a good point, you can zoom out. Since you zoom out a little bit more, then I press Ctrl Z and do it again. So something like this. I think I like this. Hold alt and click. Then here, let's see. Hold alt and click. Straight line. Slight curve here. Break it up. Straight line, straight line, straight line. Straight line, or I even break it up here, straight line. I can just do a couple of straight lines. You just click in anyhow, then it's like come back here and close up like that. So I have this part here. Can now right click in the part like that, make selection all, and just come up with the selection like this. And I take OK. So I have a selection like this, and I can now mask like that. Okay, now see I have a perfect banana like that. Alright. Yes, so that's how you use the pen tool and to get stuff done. So again, let's recap and we end this video. And this is your banana. You can use this particular banana in your design. Okay, so you might want to do something like, let's say, any design. It doesn't really matter. You might do something creative with this, and we'll start looking at stuff like this when you start looking at our projects, design projects. Okay, and accept that and get your move it around and do stuff with it. All right, so I'll delete this. So let's recap the pencil again. So when you get the pencil P on your keyboard, you click to create a point like that. Okay, so I've just clicked on allow. I've created a point. You click on another portion on your canvas and allow it as another point. So that's basically a straight line. Now if I want to draw a curve here, right, I'll click and drag. So I'll not click on allow, but I'll click and drag. Then when I'm satisfied, I'm going to allow. Okay, then if I want to break away this point, so if I don't break away these points, what happens when I click here? You see this other part is curved here for me. Okay, it's curved here. But if I do Ctrl Z and here, I'm back here. So if I want to draw a straight line here, right, I need to break away this point. So I need to hold Alt on the keyboard and click here to break away that point. Okay, then I come here, point and click. So I now have something like this. All right, so if I do Ctrl Z to go back, Ctrl Z to go back. So again, we had something like this, right? If I did not break this handle here, if I just click here, it's going to create a curve for me like that because I not break the handle. Okay, so what do? I can go back, Ctrl Z, and break the point like this. Then I click here. Or in case I've already drawn it like this, let's say I drew it like this, I can come back here to delete the handle here. And how do I get the handle? You hold Alt on the keyboard and just click and drag like that. You see, we get those handles. Then you can now hold Alt on the keyboard and click there to let's see, come back here. So I'm held on the keyboard and have this, right? So how do you now delete this handle? Since you're no longer drawing, you're fully finished drawing, how do you delete this handle here? It's very simple. You can just hold Alt on the keyboard and drag this handle into this point here. So drag this handle here. So when you hold Alt on your keyboard, this handle moves alone. Okay. If you don't hold Alt, this particular handle here, you cannot have access to it. Okay. So you need to hold Alt first on the keyboard and your cursor will change things, and you can now break this handle and just take it up, and point it right back to the handle here like that. And that's how you break away the handle. You now have a straight line like this. Okay, then you can get your direct selections where you can move your handles, you know, how you want them. Okay, you can move your point as well. So I'll click on this point and I can move it anyhow I want that moved. Okay, click on this one and move it anyhow I want that moved like that. So I can have something like this. Then I may decide, okay, I want this to be a shape. Simple. Go back to your pen tool and create a shape. As simple as that. You can move this down and probably create a funnel like that. And something like that. Alright, I'm sure this makes sense to everybody. Okay, so assignments. So if you have questions, do ask them in the group or drop the questions in the comment section. So the assignments, I want you to, or is that stuff? Yeah, so practice with this particular image here. So I'm going to share the link to this one on the description of this video. So I wanted to trace me out of this image here. Okay. All right, so that's it for this video, and I want you guys to spend time practicing. The only way you get better at the pen tool is you practice. It's very simple too, but powerful. Simple but powerful. So let me show you another thing you can do with the pen tool. So let's say I bring in this image here, just a quick one. Let's say you need this road here, right? You need just this road here. You don't need this building. Simple, just get your pen tool here on the keyboard, and you click here. Click at this point here. Click at this point here. Click at this point here. Click here. Click here. Click here. And that's it. Just create a selection, and you can mask that part out like that. Then you can take this and put it in another design you want to have it in. So when we start looking at manipulation, photo manipulation, we'll see a lot of things like this. So I can just do something like this, and I can bring in a whole new scene here, right? And we have stuff like this. Okay. And I can go and look for another picture and bring in and put in something else here. Okay. Yeah. So your assignment is for you guys to, your assignment, just this particular image here. Select me out from this background using the pen tool, just the pen tool. Okay. Yeah. Use the pen tool and get that done, and make sure you submit the assignment. And that's that for the assignment of today. Just one assignment today. All right. So see you guys in the next one.